All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on a textile technology that is literally all around you, but you've probably never actually seen how it's made. We're going to decode the secret language of a very special type of fabric construction, warp knitting.
Seriously, think about it. You know, your workout gear, the fabric on your car seats, they stretch, right? But if you snag them, they don't just unravel into a complete mess like a pair of tights. So what's the secret? How do they get that incredible stability?
Well, the answer is a method of knitting that's totally different from what you're probably picturing. Forget about one yarn going back and forth. We are talking about thousands of yarns moving together in this incredibly coordinated dance. To really get this, we first need to understand the two big families of knitting. Most of us are familiar with one, but the other one, well, that's the industrial powerhouse. So let's break them down.
Okay, so on one side, you've got weft knitting. Picture a classic hand-knitted scarf. You have one single yarn that travels sideways or horizontally, building the fabric row by row. Now, warp knitting, that is a whole different beast. It uses a massive set of parallel yarns. We're talking one for every single needle, and they all feed in vertically, building the fabric all at once.
This table really shows you how those different yarn directions create fabrics with totally different personalities. You see, with weft knitting, the yarn moves horizontally, making a course which is just like a row of stitches. But with warp knitting, the yarns feed in vertically to form a wale. That's a column of stitches. And that's why weft knits are super stretchy, but, they can unravel in a heartbeat. Warp knits, on the other hand, are way more dimensionally stable, almost like a woven fabric, and they're famous for resisting runs. Of course, that stability comes at a price. Setting up thousands of yarns on a giant warp beam is a much more complex and expensive process.
And this quote just nails the core advantage. That stability is exactly why warp knits are the go-to for anything where durability is a big deal. You really get the best of both worlds. You get some of that nice flexibility of a knit, but with the rock-solid structure you'd expect from a woven material.
So how does this actually work? I know it looks incredibly complicated, but it's all based on this really precise, beautiful mechanical rhythm. Let's take a peek at the machine that makes it all happen.
So here's the basic setup. See those huge cylinders up at the top? Those are the warp beams. They're feeding literally thousands of parallel threads down towards the action. And the magic happens right there in the middle, at the needle bar, where all those threads get looped into fabric.
The entire process boils down to a 4-step cycle that just repeats at mind-blowing speeds. Now, there are two words here you've absolutely got to remember: overlap and underlap. These are the two key moves that create this fabric's one-of-a-kind structure.
First up is the overlap. This is where a tiny little metal plate called a guide, which is holding one single yarn, swings forward and wraps that yarn around the hook of a needle. That motion, that's what creates the neat vertical stitch you see on the front of the fabric.
And this is the secret sauce, the underlap. See, after making a loop, the guide doesn't just go back, it shifts sideways. The technical term is shugs, underneath the needle so it can link up with the next needle over. This creates a little diagonal connection on the back of the fabric, and that's what locks all the stitches together and stops those dreaded runs.
Okay, let's watch this happen step by step. In this first position, you can see the yarn guide. Right there, just waiting behind the needle, ready to make its move.
And now, bam, the guide swings forward and sideways, and it just elegantly wraps that yarn right into the hook of the needle. That right there is the overlap in action. So cool.
And to finish it off, the needle pulls that brand new loop down through the old loop from the previous cycle. And there you have it. A new stitch is born and locked into place. Now, just try to imagine this happening thousands of times a minute across thousands of needles at once. It's amazing.
Now, not all warp knitting machines are created equal. There are two main types, and each one has its own special skills. I like to think of them as two highly specialized siblings.
So on one side, you've got Tricot, the high-speed specialist that's perfect for making smooth, fine fabrics. And on the other side, you've got Raschel, the creative powerhouse that can handle complex patterns and even some pretty wild materials.
Tricot machines are built for one thing: speed. They are the absolute workhorses of the industry, just churning out huge quantities of smooth fabrics like Locknit, which is famous for being super run resistant. This is the material your silky sleepwear and blouses are probably made of. It's also what they use for the headliner in your car, where that stability is so important. It won't sag or warp, no matter what.
But Raschel machines, this is where things get really interesting. Their design lets them use a much wider range of materials.
We're talking everything from thick yarns for making delicate lace and heavy-duty cargo nets, all the way to high-tech fibers like glass and aramid. They can even knit with metal wires. The versatility is just incredible.
So with these two types of machines out there, where does this fabric actually show up in our day-to-day lives? The answer is, well, pretty much everywhere.
I mean, the range is just astounding. You'll find warp knits in delicate lingerie and in tough, breathable sports jerseys. They make the durable covers on your car seats. They create beautiful, intricate lace. And they're even strong enough to be used as industrial cargo nets or geotextiles for major construction projects.
So here's the bottom line. The absolute genius of warp knitting is its hybrid nature. That unique interlock structure, thanks to the underlaps, gives it the kind of stability you'd expect from a woven fabric while still keeping some of the stretch and flexibility we love about knits.
And on an industrial scale, this is huge. When you're just talking about pure, raw speed, nothing beats warp knitting. It is hands down the most efficient way to turn spools of yarn into wide sheets of fabric.
So if you only take one thing away from all this, let it be this. The next time you pick up a piece of fabric that's both stretchy and stable, flip it over. If you see a series of tiny diagonal floats connecting the stitches on the back, you're looking at an underlap. You've just spotted a warp knit in the wild.
So there you have it. You're now in on the secret. You have the key to identifying this hidden world of textiles. So go on, take a look at your clothes, your furniture, your car. Now that you know the secret language of loops, what amazing fabrics are you going to find hiding in plain sight?